You're driving around with your family on the weekend and you see an open house sign, you walk into this beautiful home and you fall in love with it. And then you want to make an offer, you call a realtor, and then you realize you're not pre-approved, right? So you don't have approval from a bank to get your financing for this home, and it's a weekend, you can't connect with a lender, and you end up, missing out on this great home. Well, today we're gonna talk about why getting pre-approved is so important. It should be the first step in the home buying process and how it can be a very easy process to go through with. And today with me, I have Ryan Manley, who's gonna tell us about what a pre-approval is and what the steps are to get one. Ryan, so start us off. What's the first step to getting pre-approved?
First step is to call a great lender like myself with guaranteed rates. You can text, call, email, just reach out, and that's step number one. Once we connect, we're going to go over a brief call to really dig into what your goals are, where you want payments to be, budget, and cash flow, stuff like that. Once we have that brief conversation, then it's off the online application where filling the info takes 5-10 minutes, very pain-free, and then we'll be able to get all the information we need to set up the full consultation with you to go over what options are available.
Okay, so basically it sounds like, with you, Ryan, it could be a Zoom call. If you're a buyer, maybe you're, out of state or out of town, they can connect with you that way. But I think the most important thing is to work with, like you said, someone that's local, that's professional, and that will listen to what your goals are. It's not just about buying any home, it's about buying a home that you're gonna be happy with, right? And so I think that's very important. So once a buyer connects with you, has that first initial meeting, like what documents do they need to give to you? And then, what else happens in that process?
Well, we're gonna need tax records for the last 20 years. We're going to need bank statements for the last 5 years. No, we won't need any of that. Typically, it's as easy as just W-2s for the last 2 years, bank statements for the last 2 months, and 1 month of pay stubs. That really gives us a good start of what we need for documentation.
That sounds pretty simple to me. Tell us a little bit more, like what happens if, like, say someone, qualifies for a home, but they're not sure about whether they can, afford it or not. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we always get buyers who fill out the application. What's my max pre-approval? And really what my job is to work with buyers, figure out their goals and what their future plans are. We're just not looking at this property that they're buying now, but maybe 2-3 moves down the road. What are the plans? And that allows us to structure the deal best and really understand what your goals are. I may be able to approve you for a $700,000 house, but you're not going to like that payment. So we talk about where your payment is, where your cash at close is, so that we know what property is best suited for you.
And I will add to that, as a real estate agent, what I love about pre-approvals is that you really get to know and understand like what home price, works for you as far as affordability, and then also your house payment. Those two are very important. And especially right now with rates kind of moving up and down, right? You kind of need to know, and you need to be more proactive where rates are and what those numbers could look like to make sure that, you're going to buy a house that you can afford and you can enjoy for many years. So I think too, as well, or something else to add to that is having a lender that will be in good communication with you, even if it happens to be on the weekends, right? So a lot of homes will go on the market on Fridays, and then buyers will go see them Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday. So if you decide as a buyer you want to write an offer, you might have to tailor that pre-approval to that specific property. So how do you go about doing that, Ryan, on a weekend with your clients?
Staying connected. I look at buying a house, you're working with a team. So we've got to have a great real estate agent, great lender, where everybody works together, so there's great communication, and it's following up. So once we have somebody pre-approved, typically on Thursday, we'll call, say, hey, what homes are you looking at this weekend? What questions can I answer for you? We'll go over payments if they've got specific properties in mind. We'll go over all the numbers, and I think that's key right now. We have seen rates moving. I mean, they go up and down quite a bit right now, and it can impact payments. And putting the right strategy together when you're writing the offer is key too. I work with a lot of agents where we kind of strategize together what the best option is when the agent's writing the offer.
Yeah, and I've definitely heard of stories where buyers will find a home they like, and then they're not able to buy because they weren't pre-approved, or they used a lender that wasn't very local. So the listing agent was like, we don't know, we don't have any credibility with this bank, or we're not familiar with it, and it's the weekend, so that bank can't really reach out to the sellers or vice versa. And so that's why local is great. Good communication is important, and like you said, working as a team. Oftentimes before I put an offer, I'll make sure with the buyer and with the lender, just to make sure that the numbers look good and make sure, like, you know, when you're buying a house, there's so many pieces and things going on. And so, you know, just having clarity on like, hey, what are my closing costs going to be? And then, like, you know, with this home, you know, what would the down payment be as well? And so having that initial conversation with your lender, having someone like Ryan who's going to sit down with you and spend time explaining, you know, the things that are not as exciting about real estate, like, you know, closing costs, what all makes the closing costs, you know, down payment, you need to have 20% or can you get by with 5%, right? PMI or private mortgage insurance, you know, understanding these terms and having, you know, someone to explain that to you is very, very important. It will make your process more fun, easier, and smoother. So at least that's been my experience. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I agree totally, Joe. And, you know, I worked in different environments. I've worked with a bank. I'm just now on the mortgage side. So all we do is mortgages with guaranteed rate. And being a mortgage lender rather than working at a bank, I'm always working when clients need me. So if it's the weekends or evenings, it's communication. It's available for calls, text, so that you can get in a house that you love and makes sense for you and your family. But same communication is key during this process. And, you know, working with a lender that has all the different programs, whether it's down payment assistance for some home buyer programs, USDA, VA, that's key as well.
Perfect. That sounds good. So what other questions or things should buyers be asking or thinking about if they're, you know, thinking about getting pre-approved, or maybe they're even pre-approved? What are some other advice that you have for buyers in this current market?
I think the biggest thing, you know, being a lender is I'm on your side as the buyer. You know, we're going to dig in and ask some questions, and that's really so we can learn, you know, what's the best option, how to structure it best. If the lender isn't asking questions, that's when you should be concerned, because they may not be understanding the income fully, you know, understanding, you know, hey, you've got 20,000 in the bank, your down payment's 50,000. Where's the other 30,000 coming from? So it's just understanding that we're on your side, and, you know, we're digging in a little bit, asking questions, and that's a good thing. When your lender's not asking questions, that's when you need to be concerned.
Sure. So speaking of questions, I have a couple quick questions. These are frequently asked questions. So the first one is, you know, getting pre-approved. Like, does that mean that you have you're getting the money or the loan?
So pre-approval means that as a lender, I've taken a look at your income, your assets, your credit, and based on that, it fits within the qualification guidelines. Now, you could do some things like if you go out and buy a car and your debt to income ratio goes too high, we can then at that point maybe have to deny you. There could be some things that pop up, you know, on credit where maybe you get a late payment during the process and it drops your credit score. So it just means that the pre-approval, we've reviewed the documents. Based on that information, you're qualified, but the buyers can always do things to change that. Hopefully we go over that all up front, so hopefully that's not done.
Sure. So basically, based on the current snapshot, when you get pre-approved, as long as that doesn't decrease or go down, or, you know, you should be fine with the pre-approval and you know, all those numbers. Okay. Does getting pre-approved affect your credit score?
Great question. So biggest reason why people don't want to get pre-approved is because we do pull credit. Got to have your credit pulled to be able to write an offer. If you're using a loan, if you're a cash buyer, you don't have to, but really it normally impacts it maybe a couple points. So it's very, very minimal, but it allows us to get you pre-approved.
Okay. And how long does it take to get pre-approved?
So pre-approval, if it's straightforward, where it's, you know, hourly or salary, straightforward income, straightforward credit, within an hour.
Okay, great. And do you have to have down payment to get pre-approved?
You do not. There are down payment assistance programs. Minnesota Housing is one that comes to mind that we work with quite a bit. With that program, you only need $1,000 out of pocket. The rest can be done as down payment assistance money from the state of Minnesota.
Perfect. Well, you know, let us know in the comments below, if you're watching this, what questions you have about, you know, getting a loan, buying a home, anything about real estate. We're here to help you out. Ryan, thanks for your time. And if someone wants to reach out to you just to ask questions, to learn more, or to buy a house, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Usually text or call is the best. And phone number is 507-398-8384.
Fantastic, Ryan. Well, there you have it. Feel free to reach out to us, and thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, Joe.